So have you ever felt like high conflict people have a sixth sense for finding you? You walk into a meeting and somehow they make a beeline for you. You post an innocent comment online and boom, drama erupts. It's almost like you've got this invisible neon sign across your forehead that says, I'm responsible and reasonable. Dump your chaos here. If that sounds familiar, you're not imagining it. By the end of this video, you will have 5 science-backed strategies to boost your emotional intelligence and to stop being their target. Hi, I'm Jennifer. I've been a leader in the corporate sector for well over 20 years, and I'm a coaching consultant for high achievers, visionary entrepreneurs, and leaders in high-stakes environments. I've had more than my fair share of high conflict situations and individuals in my life, and I have built systems and strategies to overcome these high conflict situations with ease. So research suggests that high conflict individuals, they seek out people who are conscientious, empathetic, and skilled at de-escalation, believe it or not. In other words, if you've ever been called the voice of reason, congratulations, you might be a magnet for a high conflict person. Isn't that crazy? Because you think they would be after somebody else, but because you are a reasonable person and you can de-escalate situations, they feel like you can take them on. Really strange, I thought. And while your kindness and your reliability, they make you a great friend, a great colleague and leader, they also make you a prime target for people who thrive on conflict. How about that? So there's so much science on high conflict, being a high conflict magnet, I guess you would say. A study published in the Personality of Individual Differences found that people with high levels of agreeableness, I can't even say that, and that they're conscientious, they are more likely to be targeted by manipulators. And you have to think why, right? It's because they tend to avoid confrontation and prioritize harmony. So if you're someone that tries to make everything great and get conflict out of the way, you could have traits that these high conflict people see as an open invitation. And if you're nodding along with me right now, you're not alone. I'm one of those too. So Bill Eddy, a lawyer and therapist specializing in high conflict personalities, he identified 4 common traits of these high conflict people. The first one is blaming behavior. So it's always someone else's fault. We know a lot of people like that, right? A second trait is all or nothing thinking. So it's black and white on their worldviews. They're not open-minded. It's one way or the other. A third is intense emotions. So they might have rage. They have that victimhood or that victim mentality, or maybe both. And sometimes within minutes, right? They freak out and they just totally snap out, but then they're the victim and poor me. I know a lot of people like that. I hate to admit that. And then the fourth trait is repetitive conflict. Their lives are never ending soap operas. There's always drama. So I think if you take those 4 traits, you could think a lot of people that you know like that. Maybe more than you would like to admit, right? And here's where it gets even trickier. Many high conflict individuals aren't just chaotic in one area of their life. Studies show that they often cycle through jobs, cycle through relationships, and even friendships. And they leave a trail of emotional wreckage in their wake, right? So they leave breadcrumbs everywhere. And it seems like their lives are always in chaos, no matter if it's their job, their relationships, their marriages. Maybe they've been married 3-4 times. I don't know, but sometimes there's something to that. And there are also people that need stability, and they look for it in people like you. Steady, responsible, and compassionate. So it's not a negative trait that you have, but it's something that you need to know that you may be a target for these people who are people that you really don't want in your life. So why did they pick you? And how can you flip the script back? The good news is that you don't have to play this game anymore with these people. Here's how you can stop being their go-to emotional dumping ground. The first tip is stop rewarding the drama. You need to cut that. I know sometimes it's really interesting to talk with them about what's going on, but you gotta stop rewarding the drama. High conflict people, they thrive on that emotional reaction. And instead of using, tactics like, just trying to listen and try to figure out like how to be their best friend, maybe use a technique that's called the BIFF response method. So it's BIFF, and B stands for brief, I stands for informative, F stands for friendly, and the other F is for firm. So BIFF. So an example could be is if they were saying to you, you're always ignoring my emails. It's so typical of you. You can say, I received your email and I will respond by tomorrow. Thanks for your patience. And just diffuse it. Just be really directive and not get sucked into their drama. This will neutralize their ability to escalate the conflict because it gives them nothing to latch onto. No defensiveness and no fuel to their fire, especially if they love escalating things up the food chain at work or whatever. That's like a big drama session. A second technique is to set boundaries like a boss. You need to set boundaries. I was never good at this, and I really needed to start doing it because it was affecting even my life with people that are good people, because sometimes people don't realize when they're constantly asking you for help, you feel like you're being taken advantage of, and sometimes they don't even realize it. They're just like going about their lives thinking you're this, person that has all this time. And sometimes when you set boundaries, you don't have to be mean about it. It kind of makes them step back and respect you a little bit more and respect your time. So if someone consistently brings conflict, limit your exposure to them. Psychologist Dr. Ramani Devrusala recommends that doing this gray rock method. So I'm sure many of you have heard about this gray rock method. It's something a lot of people are talking about on social media and YouTube. And it's basically becoming as interesting to them as well a rock. So minimal reaction, minimal drama. This can be as simple as shortening conversations, responding to them in maybe a non-committal way, and also excusing yourself when the chaos starts, being like, oh, gotta go, that kind of thing, and not really feeding into their drama. Because if you're not someone that is feeding into their drama, most of the time they won't even chase after you because they're like, oh, you're not giving them that feed, that supply that they're looking for from someone. And a third trait is, or tactic rather, is to recognize the rescue reflex. So high conflict people, they love to recruit problem solvers. And if you feel the urge to fix their issues, I want you to take a pause. Because the only person that you can fix, the only situations you can fix are your own. You can't fix anyone else. I know that sounds crazy because a lot of people think people come into their lives and they have so much chaos and that you can really help them and fix their life, and you really can't. You can provide guidance, you could provide advice, but it's on them to fix their own lives. So ask yourself this: am I responsible for this? And if not, step back, step away from it. This one is a tough one for those of us who we're just naturally stepping into leadership roles and you're trying to protect your peace. It has to be a priority though. Sometimes we feel like we can solve other people's problems and we can help them, and it's a challenge. You can provide them advice, but if they start dragging you into their drama, it's not the place you want to be. A fourth tip is use don't jade, meaning Jade. So that stands for don't justify, argue, defend, or explain. So the more you engage, the the more that they see an opening that they can hook into. You'll never win this way with any of these types of individuals. And when you're in an argument with these types of individuals, you're not going to win the argument. So protect your energy and just get away from it. High conflict people, they thrive on pulling you into their web of disputes. So the less energy you give them, the faster they will move on to somebody else. They can give them all of that supply and all of that drama that they can, unload on and bring into their, crazy world. Give that a try. So Jade, justify, argue, defend, and explain. So you don't want to do any of those things. And the fifth tip is to spot the red flags early as you can. This can be really tough because a lot of these high conflict people, they really like to love bomb on you and tell you how amazing you are and how great you are and how great the things you do are. And sometimes it's so easy to get sucked into these situations with people, whether it's a relationship or just a friendship or a business relationship, because you think, wow, this is going to be amazing. It's going to be so much fun being with these people. But high conflict people, they often have patterns of chaotic behavior. So if someone always seems to be in crisis, they blame others for their problems or escalates minor issues into this full-blown drama, creating battles and all of those types of things. Take note of that. So those people, a lot of those people at work, they're always just complaining, nitpicking, never happy. They just can't always or ever see the positive side of things. This is especially important in professional settings where high conflict colleagues, they can totally drain your energy and productivity. I know I've had a few colleagues that have brought me into, let's have a coffee, and it ended up being in this hour bitch session, and then you get off the phone and you're thinking, wow, they really sucked me in, and I felt like I was becoming like them, and I just wasted an hour of my life on something that isn't productive and maybe bitching and moaning about things that I can't control anyway. So the bottom line is, if high conflict people seem to find you, it's not a flaw. It's a testament to your emotional intelligence. But being their go-to problem solver, that's not your job. By using strategic communication and setting firm boundaries and, more importantly, disengaging from the chaos, you can stop being their favorite emotional dumping ground. And trust me, once you flip the script, it's like a chef's kiss. It's liberating. Imagine the peace of mind that comes with knowing that you don't have to engage in unnecessary battles anymore and be, kind of tied in with people that you don't want to be tied in with. So if you ever dealt with a high conflict person like this, what worked? What didn't? I'd love to hear your strategies. Let me know in the comments. So if you found this content valuable and helpful, forward it to someone who needs it. We all know that person dealing with the high conflict person right now. There's many of them out there, unfortunately. And if you want more strategies for handling difficult people, stay tuned. I'll be sharing even more insights in the next video.